All right, so you hit your irons thin. We're gonna help you fix that right now. What's going on, everybody? Scott Oaken coming at you. We are gonna go through how we are going to fix hitting thin shots with your irons. So let's go over this first as we get into this. Let's talk about what is a thin shot, just in case you are not familiar. A thin shot is going to be when we come into the golf ball, we've got an iron typically, but it can happen with a driver, it can happen with any club, okay? You can come in and you're basically kind of hitting the equator of the golf ball, and the close cousin of a thin shot is a top, where you're hitting it on the top of the golf ball. And so what happens is you're going to line drive that ball. You're not going to get any spin. Ball's going to take off really low. It's going to run a ton. You have zero control over the golf ball. It tends to go really, really far. And what happens a lot of times is people hit it thin and they don't really realize it. And then they think, oh, I hit my ball this far. But in reality, you actually are hitting it thin and you don't have any control over it. So we don't want that. We want to be able to strike the ball solidly. And so let's talk about how we can fix that right now. So when we're hitting the ball thin, there's a couple of things that we want to look at, okay? There's really two main things that I see when people are struggling with this. And the first one being, when we are swinging the golf club, we have what's called a low point in our golf swing. So, our golf swing is just going back and through, and it's going down and then it comes back up, just like this. Now, the lowest point of this arc is called the low point, okay? It's the lowest point. Now, when we are hitting the golf ball, if we have that low point too far back, okay, we are going to be ascending too fast and we are going to catch the bottom of the club into the middle or top of the ball. Again, that can happen with any club. In theory, it can happen with a putter. So you need to work on where is your low point going to be, okay? So again, what I typically see is people are hitting an iron and they get up here and they say, all right, hey, I'm going to try to maybe lift the ball in the air or do something like that, and that club is starting to ascend too fast. And then we get something that ends up hitting more towards the bottom of the club face. Now, that shot, not that bad, but I'm not hitting it as far as I would like to. I hit the ball a lot farther than that. And again, if I get any worse than that, I'm going to hit a low rocket that's going to just keep going. So we got to control that low point so we can get the golf club to travel down to the golf ball so we don't hit it thin. How do we do that? Well, one of my favorite ways is actually using a pressure plate. So this is one from Y Golf. I love their aids. So what we can look at is if we're going to stop hitting the ball thin, we need to move that low point forward. The way we do that by using our pressure correctly to move our body towards the target, okay? So if I've got a golf ball here, when I go back, okay, in a good golf swing, I'm going to be shifting my pressure to what we call the trail side, or my right foot as a right-handed player, okay? But I don't want to swing from back here. This is what a lot of people do, especially if you're somebody that's trying to open up too fast. You're going to stay on your back side. The lowest point of your swing is back here, and then you are going to hit the ball thin, or you might even hit it fat too. So you need to start moving that low point forward by shifting forward, okay? So before I ever start trying to spin my body, I need to shift my mass forward. So now when I come down, the lowest point of the arc is now on the front side of the golf ball, or the target side. That's going to allow that club to bottom out where I'm still coming down at it, and the bottom leading edge of the club can travel down below the golf ball. So I like to get people, when we are doing this and we're trying to get rid of thin shots, we like to really get focused in on, all right, you're going to bring it back, you're going to shift back, you're going to shift forward, club down to the ball. And what happens a lot of times is they actually might even start hitting the ground a little bit, which is fine, but we can always smooth that out, but at least they're not thinning it, right? So we do that again. We're going to really exaggerate it. We're going to go back, forward. My low point is moving forward, and then we're going to feel like it stays there as we go through to hit the shot. We'll do that very slow, then we'll start making our way through the bag and start working our way through, picking up speed, all of that stuff. So moving that low point forward really can help you start understanding how to hit the ball a little better. You can see our impact point there, just a little bit higher on the middle of the face. That was like a quarter of a swing. That ball went much farther already. And so when I start picking up speed, as long as I can keep doing it, I'm going to hit it a lot farther in general. So getting that low point forward is one of the first ways that we stop thinning our shots. Now, the second thing that we have to look at when we're talking about thinning it is we have to actually look at how deep is the lowest point of your swing. Are you letting the club and the low point be low enough to the golf ball? Because what I see a lot of times with people is, and again, it goes a little bit with the first tip about low point, but what I see a lot of times is people, when they're hanging out back here with their low point behind the ball, they start getting afraid to hit the ground, or they don't know that you're even supposed to hit the ground in golf. It's the only sport I know where you're supposed to destroy the playing field, okay? We need to hit the ground, but they've hit the ground so much behind the ball that they get scared. So what happens is they start shortening up their arms, okay? That makes the low point of the swing not deep enough. We're not going to ever get to the bottom of the ball, which means the center of the face isn't going to get to the center of the ball. So what we need to do there is work on lowering the arc of the swing so it can actually get to where the middle of the club hits the center of the ball. So what I like to use is another training aid here from Y Golf. Big fan of their simple aids. So this is called the arm alarm. Okay, this was invented by an instructor called Chris Mason, named Chris Mason, and he came up with this device where essentially we're just tethering our arms together. Now I like this one. There are other devices you can use. I like this one because it gives you some audible feedback. If this comes apart, there's actually a buzzer that goes off so I can hear it. Plus it's a little bit more adjustable for different people. But what we'll see is when we go to swing, if somebody swings and they start coming down and they're just going to start lifting, you see the tether breaks, okay? Because what happens is they're lifting their arms and they spread apart. So what we need to do is actually work on feeling like those arms stay together a little longer. Over here, if they separate, that's fine, but we need them to feel like they stay together so that our arms are actually lengthening the club and lengthening the arc all the way down to the bottom of the golf ball. So it looks something like this, okay? So we'll do a lot of drills like that where we're gonna hit some kind of punchier shots, but really feeling the length of what we are going through with the arc and how we want to hit the ball. So you can see there, hit at 137 yards, already farther again on like a quarter swing, half swing, just because I hit the ball in the center of the face. It's going to be much more predictable, and I'm going to know how far it goes. It's going to lead to much better golf. So you want to get the lengthening of the arc so it's deep enough where you could actually get the center of the face to get down to the golf ball. That's going to be another major key to being able to stop thinning those iron shots. So that's how I help people stop thinning the ball. Those are usually the two major causes. Again, if you just make sure it's not a shank, usually if you work on the low point and the depth of the arc, you're usually going to be in really good shape. It could be with your driver, it could be with a putter even though putter you're not going to move as much, but something you really need to check out. Again, this is going to be huge in helping you shoot better scores, which is something I want to help you do. So make sure you check out our Breaking 90 Blueprint. If you're somebody that's looking to break that magical 90 barrier, 100% free. You can see it down in the description below. Get your plan. You got to answer 4 questions, I believe, and you will have a game plan of what you need to be thinking about and what you need to be working on to break that 90 barrier. So make sure you go check that out. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.